Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and Spotify to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, and Invisired. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 397 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Ben Lerner, and if you want to keep smiling and learn how to go from 0 to 1,000,000, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I have Ben Lerner here today with me, Mr. DC, Doctor of Chiropractic, Doctor of Cause. And this is episode 397. Super pumped to have this episode go live today. Before we jump into this episode of Chiro Hustle, I will tell you guys why we do what we do. We protect freedom of speech. That is fundamental. We protect the sacred trust. If you guys don't know what that is, go do a search for BJ Palmer's Chiropractic Sacred Trust. We support subluxation-based chiropractic, innate intelligence, and universal intelligence. That we believe that when somebody gets adjusted, it connects the physical to the spiritual. And with that, let's hustle, Dr. Ben.
Amen. Let's do it.
So we were off camera, and you said we should talk about this. So I think we should talk about this first. You said that you always want to save more lives and get people healthier, and we have to take care of ourselves. And you said something about not taking too much time off and you're always busy. And I said, yeah, man, can I share a Bob Marley quote with you? And you said, sure, do that. And I said, the bad guys don't ever take a day off, so why should I? And I think it's pretty profound, especially in today's world.
Yeah, I mean, as long as people are still dying unnecessarily, still suffering unnecessarily, and while the model of healthcare is still outside in and led by the traditional medical system, as long as that's still going on, I will not stop.
Bam. That's powerful, dude. And you were talking about some of these legends in the profession, like was it Dick Santo?
Santo, yes.
Yeah. And you said something, tell us about his business card.
So his business card was just a smiley face and 2 words, keep smiling. Then his phone number and his name. And for a lot of people, that would make no sense. So why doesn't it say cures, sciatica and migraine headaches, auto accidents, work comp, why is that not on the card? But chiropractic at its roots, I was fortunate enough to be taught by people that were taught by BJ. So I'm essentially a 3rd-generation chiropractor. I'm that old, and chiropractic is that young. And these guys were changing the world. They were saving lives. They were making your life better. It was all about keep smiling. Life is going to be better because of chiropractic. They weren't treating anything. So obviously we've come a far ways from that, but it made perfect sense when I saw it that his main thing he was going to do for you in your life was he was going to keep you smiling.
Well, let's share with the audience today about how that slogan became in vogue for when it was created. There was a time of turmoil in the chiropractic profession when people were getting arrested for practicing chiropractic without a license or practicing medicine without a license. And what would happen is they locked these chiropractors up, and the chiropractor slogan while they were locked up was to keep smiling, because awesome. Against all odds, they were going to win with attitude.
And BJ's attitude about it was, I'll adjust inside the prisons. Then kick me out of the prison. I'll go adjust under a bridge. I'll adjust at the homeless shelter. As long as I can get my 2 hands on people, I'll keep adjusting. And that's really how I built my practice. We were kind of famous at the beginning because I went from 0 to 660 visits a week in 90 days when I opened up. And the reason that it happened is before I got open, I didn't know what I was doing. So months and months of, trying to find a leases, architects, contractors. I had no idea what I was doing, didn't have any money. So it took months. And so I was starting to get pretty down about it. But I thought, I've still got the ability to adjust people and save lives. So we started going into prisons, into homeless shelters, to the food bank, the children's homes, and just doing thousands of free adjustments. So when I opened up, the whole community was in love with what I was doing. We were changing our town. And so they came in by the hundreds from day one, just really based on what you're talking about right there. I'll do this with a license, without a license. As long as I can move a bone, God can do the healing.
Yeah. I have goosebumps on my arms over here, because what you do is you speak truth, and freedom of speech is something that we really support in this profession. And I think it's important for people that have been around, you said 3 decades now in the profession. And I think it's important that the youngsters can jump in and learn from why we do what we do. Our tagline is learning from the greats. And I think that it's really important that you can share your conviction and honesty with people about this profession, because so many times people misunderstand what chiropractic is. And that was very clear.
When it gets relegated down to something small, like when these kids are in school learning that, it's just for facet syndrome, and we manipulate to get rid of some low back pain and stay away from the neck. And, you hear these kinds of things, don't x-ray. My concern is that, whatever, you want to do chiropractic because it's good for back pain. There's nothing, obviously demonic about that, but it just limits your career. It limits somebody's future, that these kids go to chiropractic school and the world becomes their destiny. They can make a difference and do anything they want. I've when I was traveling the world, because my first book became a New York Times bestseller, God, it would just really stunk that somebody said, "Oh, you can't write books. You can't talk about saving lives. You can't go speak around the world. You're just a chiropractor. You eliminate facet syndrome with a manipulation. That's all you do." So I just hate the idea that somebody would crush a dream, limit a career, and stop somebody from truly fulfilling their destiny, all because we made chiropractic small instead of being the greatest thing that God ever gave us on planet Earth.
Well, to share from that, we need to empower the future chiropractor. As Edison said, the doctor of the future. And many times I say the doctor of today. And when we find these light healers, these guys and gals that are out there checking, detecting, and correcting vertebral subluxation, what happens now is we need to make sure that their technique and their adjustment skills are solid, so they can be the torchbearers for the future.
Yeah, technique was huge. Obviously, again, my generation, you're learning from the names of the techniques that we all practice today. Those guys were alive when I was learning, so I was learning from those people. And technique was critical because you were, the art was to save somebody's life. So you weren't going to leave it up to a manipulation or some lousy technique, because the difference between a life being saved or not could be whether or not you're good at detecting and correcting subluxation. And so that, so a quick story just on that. I had a patient here about 2 years ago, was sent to me because he was trying to become an Olympic rower, as well as get into Columbia, the Ivy League school to row, which the Ivy League schools, these are the iconic historic schools for rowing. And they brought him to me. I have 4 degrees, and I'm also a psychologist, also have a business degree. And they brought him to me because they wanted me to just kind of handle it. I have a bachelor's in nutrition. They wanted me to do chiropractic nutrition and psychology, because this kid had broken down. So he was having panic attacks, depression. His whole body was breaking down. So when he went in the boat to row, he couldn't row. So he just wouldn't get in the boat again. So they said, we are going to bring him to you so you can really, correct all of this. So I said, well, let's start with adjusting him. I got to check his atlas first, and then we can get into all the other stuff. So we x-ray him. We do an atlas adjustment. He stands up, and as God is my witness, he says, that was it. And we're like, what do you mean that was it? He's like, yeah, it's gone now. And again, he had a series of symptoms and life crisis that was a mile long, and it was ruining his dream. One adjustment of his atlas, he stands up and says it's gone. So he goes right from my office back to Sarasota, where he trains for rowing, makes the first team after this one adjustment, and soon is on the Pan Am team, gets into Columbia, and they just sent me a video 2 days ago. He just won the national championship as a rower at the University of Columbia, all from one Atlas adjustment. And of course, he's continued to get adjusted since then. Any rower that comes through Windermere always comes by way of my house to get adjusted. We've started a revolution when it comes to taking care of these kids, but it's because of the art of chiropractic. We never did anything else with them. Not that I'm a big believer in nutrition, big believer in psychology, but it was the power of a chiropractic adjustment that made the difference.
Well, I always tell people that people really matter and words really matter. And I also tell people that the adjustment really matters.
Oh, yeah.
And when you have conviction behind the method of taking care of people, this is something that I learned. I did 600. I don't know if you knew this. A lot of people that watch our show knows that I did 600 chiropractic screenings in 36 months and scheduled in over 3,000 people. And people would stand there in front of me and talk to me. And I'd tell them, if I don't tell you the truth about chiropractic, someone else will lead you into drugs or surgery. And it's my duty to tell you that we can help you today. And you're here for a reason in front of me, because obviously you're not here for any other thing, but there's something going on inside of you. I don't live in your body, so I don't know how you feel, but I guarantee you one thing: we can help you. I can't tell you how many people I've converted in chiropractic care with that 20-second line, because people want what you have.
And they want somebody who cares, so somebody who cares is somebody they trust. They'll listen to what they have to say. But first of all, thanks for letting God use you. I appreciate you going out there. I know a lot of people hate screenings, but to me, that's the mission field. That's where the sick people are walking by with undetected, uncorrected subluxation that could ruin their lives. So thank you for being a missionary for God, the world, and chiropractic.
Absolutely. Can I share with you a little bit about the stats that we've been able to do?
Yes.
665 new patients scheduled in last year at the Alaska State Fair in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Changing people's lives up there. It's amazing. I love it. I don't do screenings anymore. I call them scheduling events. I created a process that takes the screening out of it, and it just signs people up. People just line up and they come over and they want what we're doing. It's quite impressive. So thank you for saying that. It's important to go out there and harvest your community and get these people, and to get out of your own way and to stop thinking that you're something better than going out and being a servant.
And I love every form of marketing, social media, internal marketing, referrals, everything's great. Any way to get a new patient, but there's something about being willing to go out there in the mission field to go after people. Now, I once used to be able to go have lunch with my daughter when she was in kindergarten. So I'd go to lunch every day, and we had a big practice. We're seeing 2,000 a week. We've got, we're seeing 1,000 kids a week, but then I go to her school for lunch and none of them are my patient. I see hundreds of kids running around, not getting adjusted. I know they're getting their vaccination. I know they're taking all their other pills, but they're not getting adjusted. So I realize I have to get out here. I can't just be in my office. I can't just send out social media ads alone. Again, I do all that, but I can't just do that because there's too many kids out here that are subluxated and don't have a chance unless I go do something. So that made me go deeper into the school, start doing talks for parents, doing talks for kids, doing talks for the teachers, educating my community. Cause that is the mission field. That's where the people are. And when my patients see that, we had a big sign when you leave my clinic, it says, "You're now entering the mission field." So the patients know I'm out there saving lives and changing healthcare in our community. We expect you to go out there and do the same and bring the people in.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, I really believe that we have to get to the families. And I was on an interview the other week, and I said, chiropractic's cradle to grave care. It's from womb to tomb. And you got to go out there and find people. And they're not just going to show up because they get bombarded in their programming with farmy ads 100 times in a half hour. And they just don't know that chiropractic is their answer and their solution.
Without our mission statement has always been everyone needs chiropractic from birth to the grave or for as long as they want to be healthy. And so we tell our patients, since everyone needs it, that means anyone that isn't getting chiropractic care, we need to work together to get them in here because it's for everyone. So we never had a problem with new patients, for 20 years because of the fact that everyone needs chiropractic care. And we work with our patients to get anyone they know in. And since every person knows, if you ask any mortician or any wedding planner, they know that every individual person knows 250 other people. So there should never be any lack of new patients.
That is brilliant. I never knew that.
Yeah. So in fact, if somebody says, well, I already told everybody, I'm like, well, 250 people, you've never referred me anybody. So let's keep working on this. We still got 250 to go.
I like that a lot. So let's rewind the clock a little bit from how we usually do our intro, but let's tell people your story and how you got into being such a servant in this profession.
Well, I started off in college. I was going to be a medical doctor. I was going to be an orthopedic surgeon. And I was also trying to make an Olympic wrestling team. And I was given a drug called Feldine for the shoulder problem I had. And it gave me a bleeding ulcer. So I'm spitting up blood. If I eat a green pepper, I'm in a ball and pain for 3 hours until I struggled to digest it. And this was my life at 19 years old, seeing the best doctor in the country, this elite level orthopedic surgeon. So somebody finally says, listen, can't take drugs anymore. This guy's not helping you. You should go see a chiropractor. And within just a couple of months of seeing this chiropractor, everything's gone. Problems I had for 4 years that were struggling, it caused me to struggle in wrestling. The bleeding ulcer went away. Everything healed. So I thought, well, this is the thing to be. I should be this kind of doctor, not the other kind of doctor. So I went to the head of the medical school and said, hey, I got good news. I'm switching my focus. I'm going to go from being an orthopedist to a chiropractor. And the head of the medical school said, why do you want to be a witch doctor? And for me, I'm a kind of radical guy. I thought, I kind of like that. Witch doctor sounds kind of cool. So it didn't deter me at all. And that's what got me into chiropractic. And, but then what made me so mission-based and creating, programs that have gone around the world and opening up over 150 clinics and continuing to open up clinics is when my dad died. So my dad was not a healthy person. He was actually my motivator for getting into healthcare and taking care of myself. So my dad died 3 years younger than I am right now. And just, really great dad. But, he smoked and he was overweight and he didn't exercise. He had, as I look back at older pictures, he had massive forward head posture, clearly radically subluxated. And so that's really when he died, my first year in practice, that's when I thought, well, I can't just have a big one clinic. I've got to change the world. Too many dads are out there dying and don't know about chiropractic. And that's when it went big.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, and Invisired. Let's hustle. So tell us about that. What kind of clinic model did you start, and what was the name behind that?
So I was a DE guy. So, with our thing was, and I might've been the first to do it, even though the DE guys were teaching it. I went all in on all the quotes and everything that DE was about, which was that I move the bone, God does the healing. So, we have put on whiteboards in every room, chiropractic moves the bone, God does the healing. Power that made the body heals the body. It doesn't happen any other way. So we went all in on that. And we got our patients, understanding just those two lines, those two sentences. And as a result, we just blew it up. We went and we reached out to every organization in our community. As I mentioned, we started off with the people that couldn't afford care. And the way I look at that is that if you take care of the people that nobody wants, God will send you the people that everybody wants. So if you're on a mission to transform your community will serve you. The mindset was, you can't outserve God. You serve that community, it will serve you back. So when people tell me they're struggling, I would say, well, are you serving your community in a massive way? Because if you're serving them in a massive way, they're going to serve you in a massive way. If you're doing very little, you're just, just doing maybe posting some ads, doing some SEO, that's a little way. You're serving in a very small way or not serving at all. So yeah, it's not serving you back. So that's how we were at 1,000 a week in 9 months, seeing 2,000 a week in a few years. By my third year, we had 5 clinics, and it all started with that mentality.
1,000 in a week in 90 days, you said?
No, in 9 months. We were at in 90 days, we're seeing 660 a week, 1,000 a week in 9 months. 3 years, we were seeing 15,000 adjustments a month out of 5 clinics within 3 years of being open.
Wow. I really, I'm impressed by this simplicity. The simplicity is powerful. I move the bone, God does the healing. It's very simple and clear. People can understand that.
The power that made the body heals the body. And it doesn't happen any other way. Just those two things everywhere. So people would say, can this help with a sinus? I'm like, I can move the bone. God can do the healing. Does this help with sciatica? The power that made the body heals the body. It doesn't happen any other way. There's no other way for that sciatica to go away, or heart disease or cancer, than the power that made your body being released so it can fully serve your body again. And that only can happen through the art of a chiropractic adjustment.
Well, I am over the moon today with a lot of the information you're sharing with me, because it is in congruency with the way that I operate. But I'm just not the guy that goes and does the adjusting. I don't have that skill set. And, I got my degree in marketing and journalism. So I'm using my skills to the best to support your mission and vision of what you have, like, in the depth of you. But I know that there's a lot of struggle right now for clarity and mission and vision where this profession is headed. Let us hear from your looking glass where you see chiropractic going in the next, 10, 15, 20 years.
Well, you can see where it's headed quite a bit. And I've certainly been part of this movement in an aggressive way, is to lead healthcare. We've always said that chiropractic should be the top, not the bottom of healthcare. We should be number 1, not number 15, that we should be the head and not the tail. So the goal has always been that somebody comes to my community, that I want them to come to me for any problem that they're having before any other type of doctor, provider, physician. So where you've seen it move quite a bit is it's the power of chiropractic, but it's also the chiropractic lifestyle, and it's our principles of healing. So, that is how we've evolved it. That's been my personal way of being more influential, making deeper impact in people's lives. So, so we, are heavy into the lifestyle component also. So that's where I personally would like to see it continue to head, is that we're taking over that whatever it is that you would, if you need to change your diet, you need supplementation, somebody has to show you the proper way to work out, that you would get that in our clinics, so that's probably a lot of people hate me for that, but that's the way that I've taken it.
Well, a couple of things that I think will help us get there is accountability and encouragement. And I believe that that's the future of leadership in this profession, is creating accountability for this to happen and encouraging others to be a part of that. And I think that you've done a really phenomenal job of creating, a movement of 150 centers helping people. And philosophically, people are more subluxated and more toxic and more just dealing with the ramifications of poor lifestyle, that they don't know who to trust. They don't know who to trust for that stuff. And, we've noticed this over the past couple of years, that people put a lot of weight on. And, that's unhealthy for the circulatory system, the vascular system, the respiratory system, the soft tissue in the joints, self-confidence, self-esteem. Like, all these things are hinged to one body, whole health. And people used to say your health is your wealth. Well, I think that what you're saying is in congruency with taking care of people. And that's really what people are going to come into chiropractic for. And that's why these people are going to go send 250 text messages to their closest people and say, come see this guy.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about Dick Santo earlier. His saying was, take good care of the folks. That was his practice management technique. Take good care of the folks. And that includes loving people, caring about people, and wanting to solve the most painful issues in their life, the things that will hinder their ability to stay alive and have a future. So it's, everything that you were saying. And, to what you're doing, and just to kind of also just thank you again, is we have to control the airways. When we talk about the future of chiropractic, we've got to get the education out there. I think at this point, I know it seems crazy, like having a podcast, like the world needs another podcast, but I think there's really an obligation. There's a responsibility for chiropractors to disseminate information any way they possibly can. We believe in mass dissemination. You got to get tons of information out there that is the truth. And you have seen, like in this vaccine war that we've been fighting, you go back to when I started in chiropractic 20, 30 years ago, the only people that were anti-vaccine, so to speak, were chiropractors. There was nobody else. And now there's a massive wave of people that stood up and said, hey, I don't want to just be injecting random things in my body. Well, that's been chiropractic forever. We're the ones who set the foundation for that. So the war we are beginning to win when it comes to the media, when it comes to people's knowledge of healthcare, that was all started by chiropractic. We've got to keep that going. So we got to continue to get our message out there. That when I say save the world, it starts with our message.
Well, I really appreciate the acknowledgement there. And people think I'm crazy, but I tell people, being a non-chiropractor 10 years ago, I'm 5 years into this. I told them my plan is to be the most powerful person in this profession. And the way I'm going to do that is through media. And if I have alliance with the smartest people in this profession, and we start joining arms together and build a tapestry of connection, we can do that. And we just need somebody that's willing to go out there and to really protect the sacred trust. And I think we have to really get into the schools, though. Like you said, we have to get from grade school all the way to chiropractic school. And we have to let people know that the education model for the future of health is through chiropractic. And that's why this show does what it does and why it's as popular as it is, because people tune in. People always want to know, so who listens to your thing? I go, well, the people that are parts of these chiropractic clinics' lives, the people that don't know anything about chiropractic, the doctors, the students in chiropractic. Like, I was like, I don't know, but a lot of people listen, and it's really important that we keep on doing this. And as Gon would say, turn the crank. Like, we got to just keep turning the crank and keep on putting out more quality content to attract these people, to let them know that chiropractic is something that they should consider for everyone. There are 250 people.
Yeah, I mean, we had a pastor in our community who died from taking over-the-counter sleeping pills. So he didn't commit suicide with them. He was just taking them as prescribed on the bottle. And one of the side effects, apparently, in addition to being able to sleep, is to die. So he didn't know. He doesn't know he could go to a chiropractor, work on his atlas, make some changes in his lifestyle, begin sleeping like he needs to. He needed the education. BJ used to say that adjustments don't sell adjustments. Knowledge sells adjustments. So like what you're doing here, what we all should be doing is getting our knowledge out there about life and health and chiropractic's role in it, so that those types of things don't happen. And that's a lot of the reason I've been able to grow so many things so large, is just taking responsibility. Mm-hmm. And when I hear something like about that pastor, this is a pastor miles down the road, not somebody that I knew or a church I went to, but I take responsibility for that. Why couldn't my message have gotten to that church so that pastor would have gotten adjusted instead of taking pills to go to sleep, and understood that anytime you take something chemical from the outside in that can poison your body and cause any number of side effects, including death, that's on me. That's something, a message I could have gotten out there. And I don't beat myself up over it. I just reinvest. I engage at a greater level. I innovate, think of new ideas, better ways to get our message out there.
Well, I love your mission. We have about 2.5 minutes left of our show today, but I am curious, maybe we can go lightning round. We've mentioned Dick Santo a couple times. Do you have any other luminaries or heroes that you have inspired you to become the man you are today?
Ian Grossum, James Sigafus, Sid Williams, these guys were all a big part of my upbringing early in chiropractic that are really every reason I've succeeded in my career.
One person that you could sit down with and talk to for an hour, either past or present.
Well, thankfully, I certainly would have loved to sit down and talk to BJ. that's a no-brainer. But I do get Bishop Mark Chirona is my mentor. And so thankfully I do get to sit down with him on a regular basis. So he's alive and available to me. So that's been a real blessing in my life.
Let's close people out with ways they can stay connected to their local communities, because I know you've done a lot of this.
Yeah, it's lead. We go out there and we share the mission that people are suffering, they're dying unnecessarily, and we reach out to leaders, pastors, the owners of gyms, heads of the sports teams at the local school and community, the principal, the athletic director. When we open up a clinic, we don't even allow the doctor to open until they've created a relationship with at least 50 leaders in the community to do what we call co-missioning. So when you take your mission, combine it with their mission, we co-mission. And as a result, we transmission. We go above and beyond anything we could have ever done on our own.
Super powerful stuff. If people want to learn more about you or connect with you or work with you or open up Clinic 151, how do they do this?
You can go to drbenlerner.com, or you can catch me on Facebook. We put out a lot of content. Nice.
Well, I really appreciate you for being episode, 397 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm sure that this will be one of our most popular episodes ever. We definitely released a lot of great truth to people. We kept freedom of speech live and well in this beautiful profession of chiropractic. And I just want to thank you for your time today.
Thanks for all you're doing, man. Bless you guys. Remember who you are.
All right. And with that being said, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.